Hey, welcome back. Minding Your Business with the Lancaster Chamber of Commerce. I'm Chris Spiker. The next guest, recent new members for the Lancaster Chamber. The organization is called Grifols, and I have with me David Guess. Welcome, David.
Thank you, Chris. How are you doing today?
Wonderful. Come on up to the mic a little bit closer. I am doing great. And I've seen the name Grifols, Grifols. What is it?
Well, Grifols is a plasma donation company. We've been in Lancaster now for about 2 years, but we really haven't gotten our name out there yet, which is part of the reason we're here today.
Gotcha.
But plasma donation is a little bit different from blood donation. It's similar, but the process takes a little bit longer, and because there is a time commitment from the donor, we are able to compensate our donors for the time that it takes to donate plasma. So there is a benefit to the donor as well as the recipient of the plasma that we collect.
So when I donate blood, it's a pint.
Yes.
And you can do that every 58 days.
Yeah, pretty close actually.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, the FDA regulation is 56 days.
Oh, gotcha.
With plasma donation, it's a little bit different. The process is called plasmapheresis. What we do with our donors, they come in and they would go through a physical process, which would include a medical history questionnaire and a minimal hands-on physical. It's completely clothes-on. It's not quite like going to the doctor for a complete checkup. It's just ears, eyes, nose, and throat. But it's important that we make sure that our donors are in a healthy condition to be able to donate plasma.
Right.
So that we can ensure that the plasma that we collect is of the highest quality, because what we do with that plasma when we collect it is so very important. We're able to take that plasma and process it into some very important medicines for a number of genetic and biological conditions that previously there were no treatments for. Some of those conditions you may know some people that have some of those conditions, even though some of them are rare. If you've ever heard of hemophilia, it's people that if they get a small cut on their hand, it will never stop bleeding. They just don't, their own body doesn't produce the clotting factor in the blood.
Right. Band-Aid has nothing to do with it.
Absolutely nothing to do with it. So they would just keep bleeding and bleeding until there was no blood left to bleed. With our medications that we can produce, we can actually isolate the clotting factor in the plasma of a healthy donor, and then create a medicine for somebody that suffers from hemophilia, so that they can live a normal life.
So one pint of plasma could be used for several people.
With the plasma, it's a little bit different again from blood. Because I would mention hemophilia.
You're going to get me straightened out here pretty soon.
Yeah, because I mentioned hemophilia, for instance, it takes actually up to 1,300 donations, 1,300 plasma donations from healthy donors to make 1 year's worth of medicine for one hemophilia patient.
Wow.
So it's very important that we collect as much plasma as we possibly can, which is part of the reason that we're allowed to compensate the donors for the amount of time. I don't know if you know anybody that could benefit from making an extra $500 this month. But for instance, in the month of December,
really?
New donors could actually make a potential of $560 just by donating plasma twice a week. And again, the difference between donating blood and plasma, you can donate plasma up to 2 times in a 7-day period, because we return the red blood cells to you as part of the process. We're only taking the plasma, which is largely the proteins and water from your whole blood. Because we're returning the red blood cells, you're safely allowed to donate up to twice a week. And because that donation can take up to an hour and a half, and we compensate for that time, like I said, our new donors could potentially make up to $560 in the month of December.
Wow.
A return donor, somebody that's already been through the qualified donor process and made the new donor bonuses, our return donors can still stand to make up to $495 just in the month of December. and that changes a little bit every month, but
Yeah.
it usually ranges in between in between $300 and $500 a month on average.
And then you're able to return to active duty right away?
Absolutely. The human body reproduces plasma in about a 24-hour period. Our donors, we encourage them to come to the center. This is not something that you want to fast for. So you want to come to the center if you're planning to donate on a full stomach, have a good breakfast, be well hydrated. Of course, we check all of our donors every single day for their vital statistics. We make sure that their blood pressure and their pulse and temperature and everything is within a safe and healthy range for them to be able to donate.
Yeah.
And then when we collect that plasma, we're able to use that to create our life-saving medicines.
How long will they be in your office?
New donors, the first time that they've ever come to the center can expect a visit of about 3 hours. The reason that it takes that long is we do have to put them through a physical. We have to have them answer a medical history questionnaire because we want to make sure that we're collecting the safest, healthiest plasma that we possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
If my children or my family were receiving that medicine, I would certainly want those precautions taken.
Right.
Once we qualify a donor and they make it through that first initial visit, the average visit for a return donor takes about 90 minutes. We're averaging a little bit better than that right now. We kind of pride ourselves on the amount of time it takes to get the donors in and out, so that's something that my staff is very proud of.
Aware of other people's time.
Yeah,
Where is the center here in the Antelope Valley?
And our center here is located at 43745 15th Street West. It is just off of 15th Street and K, kind of behind the Carl's Jr. on the corner there. We're in the same parking lot with the High Desert Medical Group.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's a good location.
Yeah,
Got an
it's,
MRI there and an Italian restaurant.
Yeah, right next door we have the MRI, the imaging center there. So.
I'm concerned about white cells. Where do the white cells go when you're doing plasma?
Well, they actually don't have a lot to do because we do collect the white blood cells. They're part of the plasma. The red blood cells are all returned to the donor, but those cells, as part of the plasma, are regenerated within just a few days of the initial donation. So an average person that eats that has a normal healthy diet, a normal active lifestyle, can safely donate twice a week and feel little to no negative side effects to themselves.
So the company Grifols must be a national organization.
Grifols is actually an international company. Grifols, actually, the founder of Grifols he invented the process for plasmapheresis. The whole industry wouldn't exist without Victor Grifols having invented the process about 70 years ago.
Really?
So it is an international company. It was founded in Spain, but most of the plasma collected is actually done so in the United States. We have close to 300 centers across the United States. Our center here in Lancaster is the only one within about a 50-mile radius, but we do have a number of other centers in Southern California.
Do you have anybody coming up from the Los Angeles area to donate plasma?
Absolutely. And in fact, we actually have a number of centers in Los Angeles. We have one in Belmont, in Bellflower, I apologize, right outside of Los Angeles there, and they service that area mainly. Our center here in Lancaster is largely focused in the Antelope Valley community, but certainly enough people here that they'll keep us busy.
So you mentioned your organization had been here a couple of years. How was the reception in the community?
The reception here has been great. When we started off, obviously the business it started off slow. We did very little advertising in the beginning, largely word of mouth. But now that we've been here for 2 years, I would say on a daily basis, we average about $6,000 to $7,500 that we pay out into the local community every day just to our local donors.
That is fascinating.
And that's 7 days a week.
Yeah.
So, and our center here, we actually have room to grow. Our center here, we only currently have 30 plasmapheresis machines, but we have the capacity to hold another 15 or 20. So we certainly have room to grow. And we have the capacity to pay a lot more donors and help a lot more people in the long run.
Fascinating, fascinating business.
Yeah.
People can go online and look up Grifols, Grifols, learn a little bit more about the process.
Absolutely. We have a website is grifolsplasma.com. That's GRIFOLSPLASMA.com. And there's certainly a lot more information online, not just about the process of plasmapheresis and the procedure about donating, but also about what happens to that plasma after we collect it. That's certainly a big part of the procedure. It's not just the collecting of plasma, and that's what we're focused on here in the local community. But the company as a whole, what we do with that plasma is so much more important. We're able to help so many people, not just in the United States. Our products are they're used for people all the way around the world.
And this is the only source of plasmas from donors.
The only source of plasma is from human donors, and it's from people that that have that need to volunteer and that need to give. But it's a win-win situation, because unlike donating blood, because it does take a little bit more time, we are allowed to compensate for the amount of time. If you donate blood, and I don't want to disparage that at all. Certainly, there's definitely a need for blood donors, and I appreciate their time and their efforts for donation as well. But when you donate blood, you commonly would get a cookie and a pat on the back and a thank you, and we're actually able to compensate the donor, because it does take a little bit more commitment from the donor on their amount of time.
Contact information for Grifols again?
So we can be reached at grifolsplasma.com. We can also be reached here locally at our local center here in Lancaster at 661-723-7597. And we take new donors on a walk-in basis. There is certainly no appointment necessary. We are open 7 days a week from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Very good. Been talking with David Guest from Grifols. Thanks for being a new chamber member.
Thank you very much, Chris. I appreciate your time, sir.
You bet.